everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of Kings Connected. My name is Dylan Baker. In our last episode, I got a chance to sit down and chat with Roop Chanderdat, the president and GM of the Komoka Kings. Roop talked all about the recruitment effort this offseason, the time in Komoka, and kind of everything to do with the organization, the behind-the-scenes work, and what he was impressed with last season, what he thinks the Kings can build off of next year. And Colin Martin entering his first season, Roop talked about, Colin Martin, his first season as head coach, that is. Roop talked about Colin a little bit in his interview. A great episode with Roop. If you haven't checked it out, strongly recommend you do. We've got a great Kings Connected playlist on our YouTube channel. You can find every episode of Kings Connected over there. So we recommend you go check that one out. Today we kick off our alumni series as we'll begin talking to former Komoka Kings who spent some time in the organization, very successful time as well, with the Kings. And these are guys that are no longer with the organization. They're no longer in the league. But they have moved on to bigger and better things, or they just retired recently because they were overagers a couple of seasons ago or last year, in the case of our guest today. D'Arcy Panziera will join the show for today's episode. D'Arcy was a defenseman for the Komoka Kings. He played in 114 games with the Kings, posting 5 goals, 52 assists for 57 points. D'Arcy last season, he became my color commentator while he was out with injury. Did a great job up in the booth with me. It was a lot of fun working with him. He's a guy that kind of everybody knows around the community. He's a guy who's very involved in the community, and we'll talk about his involvement with everybody there. And we're very excited for this interview. So without further ado, let's bring him in. It's D'Arcy Panziera. I'm now joined by D'Arcy Panziera, former Kings defenseman. How are you today, D'Arcy?
I'm good, Dylan. How are you?
Not too bad. Getting things started. You played 3 seasons in a Kings uniform. What was the time spent in Komoka like?
I mean, from start to finish, it was a great experience for sure. Especially coming in, new guy in the league. Had some great veterans on the team first year. Andrew Kim, Isaac McLean, just to name a couple. They help you kind of adjust to whatnot, and then by the time you get to third year, then you're that veteran and you have to step up and be the leadership for the young guys coming in.
We're glad you enjoyed your time with the Kings. Now, you made the transition from minor hockey into the Kings organization. How tough was it?
Early on, I'd say it was pretty tough. Expectations for me going into it were pretty low, considering I came from Lambeth minor hockey. So when I showed up, I was told, originally I showed up as a forward to training camp, and I was told that I'd be looking at a 4th line, maybe a healthy scratch for the season. And I mean, obviously hearing that, it's not the greatest thing, but you go with it and you work hard and you move your way up the ranks. And it's a good learning experience. Like, you don't take anything for granted or whatnot, and you just put the work in, you'll be good.
For sure. Now, you were named assistant captain in your final season with the Kings. What did that mean to you?
Means a whole lot. It showed me that the organization, the coaches, Ron, Colin, Mike, and management, Roop, had confidence in me to lead the team and be a good example. And same with the guys on the team, that they felt good having me as an assistant captain. And then obviously the rest of the letters. I mean, you had Blake McConnell-Barker as a captain, another great leader, did a great job last year. Cameron Welch, Jacob Howard, those guys are really great for us.
Definitely, of course, you're a great leader, and those guys you really complimented those guys as well, and a great leadership group last season. Now, during your time in the organization, you were very involved in community activities. Why was that?
Well, it's all about, I don't know exactly, like getting involved with the community, because those are the people that come and support you at the games. So if you can meet them early on and know them face to face, kind of builds a relationship, because when you see them at the games, it's kind of like, oh, hey, how's it going? I know my first year, I would go to the Tim Hortons whenever they had their hockey card trading days, and I would see kids from minor hockey in Mount Bridges and Lambeth and that kind of thing, and you see them at the game, you already kind of know who they are. Again, yeah, it's just great getting to know the people who are going to be at your games.
Definitely, that player-fan relationship is something truly special when it's a good one, and we're glad you had such a great relationship with the fans in Kamoka. Now, from the player development perspective, what do you think the Kings organization was able to bring to your game?
Um, I would say they were able to grow my game. Just again, like you mentioned earlier, coming from Lambeth to Junior B, there's a lot of things that you need to pick up and learn. And having great coaches like first year Jason Williams, obviously with NHL experience, and just the last couple of years, Ron Horvat, those guys really helped teach me things I didn't know about, drills and whatnot. And they helped me transition from being a forward to defense. So that was a big change for me. But obviously, they were able to really make that transition easy.
I think that transition's been a pretty good one as you've blossomed into to a great defenseman. Now, Roop Chanardad, president and GM of the Kings, says he was happy to see your growth both as a player and as a young man in your 3 years with the Kings. He said by the latter stages of his Junior B career, D'Arcy was one of the top defensemen in the league. What are your thoughts on Roop's words?
I mean, coming from Roop, it means a whole lot. And as I mentioned earlier, when you get that trust in the organization that they see you as a good player that can help the team, it really boosts your confidence, and you can go out on the ice and feel like you can perform without needing to worry. And yeah, like getting to that point in my third year where I can go out there and feel like I'm one of the best back there. Yeah, again, just a big confidence booster. Shout out to Dawson Zhang. I mean, I had him for all 3 years of my defensive career, and yeah, it's feels good. Feels good.
For sure. Roop, GM of the Kings, of course, saying some great words there about you, and you turned into a great defenseman when you made that transition. And last season, a very solid guy on the back end. Dawson Zhang, of course, your partner. You touched on it there. He was with you for all 3 years of your defensive career, and a great guy to have. That was the pairing on the back end for the Kings last season. The one that was consistent when you were both healthy and on the ice. D'Arcy, what are some of the opportunities you feel the Kings have created for you?
Well, I mean, first off, getting into Junior B, being able to play at that level of hockey definitely opens up more future places for me to play. So, for example, I'd like to, if I have the chance to, play hockey at Western University, and maybe even any other junior experiences. But when you play at junior, you build more connections with other hockey minds out there. Again, Ron Horvat being a great one. Same with the rest of the coaching staff. We're able to put in good words for you and move you forward in your hockey career. Unlike, for example, if I was to have stayed in minor hockey or something like that.
Definitely. Of course, that Junior B experience is so valuable as you continue your hockey career, and we're glad that it's helped you so far. Now, what are some of the memories you can take away from your years in Kamoka?
Memories. I mean, there's so many. Geez, like all the bus rides that we had with the guys. Never forget those. I think hands down my favorite though would have been my second year, the playoff run we had with that team. Going up against Chatham in the first round. Again, expectations were not too high, I don't think, from what I heard around the league for us going into the playoffs. And I mean, we came out, the boys really came together in the playoffs, and we showed up. I think we took a 3-0 lead or 3-1 lead. I'm not sure if you can refresh my memory on that, against Chatham, and those guys stacked up for playoffs, and they had a really good team as well with all the overagers they had, and yeah, we just played really well in that series. It was nice to see everyone come together like that. And then moving on to the second round, again, playing a really strong team in Leamington. Leamington's always good every year. Again, team full of overagers. And again, we played really well. We had them 3-1 in the series. Unfortunately, Leamington did come back and beat us, but I mean, I think it was that playoff run that was just so much fun. I still talk about that to this day with some of the guys on the team. It was unreal.
Definitely, that was a special squad that you guys had that season, and it was great that you guys were able to make a playoff run further than many people expected you to go. Now, D'Arcy, what is some of the advice that you can offer to guys becoming new Kings this year or players entering their overage seasons?
I would say, well, for guys entering the league, the first little bit is definitely an adjustment period coming from wherever you're at, whether it's AAA, AA, or if you're like me and you made that transition from hockey to junior B. I would say don't get down on yourself. The first little bit is going to be hard. Like if you become a healthy scratch the first game or two, it happens. It happens to everyone when you're new in the league, and you just gotta push through it. Talk to the coaches. Be like, hey, what do I have to do to become better? What do I have to do to succeed in this league? And it just takes time. No one's ever going to be the top guy in the league your very first goal. And guys coming back, returnees, overagers, I would say, like, you've done it before. You've been in the league for a year or two, and you gotta step up, be a leader out there, and just be a good role model for the guys, show them the way around the league. And yeah, it's a fun time.
For sure, some great advice for the guys that are either making their junior B debuts this season or returning and becoming overagers in the 2020-2021 campaign. D'Arcy, we've got a great picture here from last season at home. Kings with a big 6-5 overtime win over the St. Thomas Stars in Komoka. We see you here up against the board celebrating with the guys. Walk us through this picture.
Yeah, this was for the team. This was huge. Right after the trade deadline, and every team kind of move up the standings. Points really crucial. And St. Thomas being in a position where they're trying to play spoiler to a bunch of teams trying to get into the playoffs. We needed the points for sure. So we were up on them by a few goals. And again, St. Thomas made a last period charge and tied things late, 5-5, going to overtime. And Stadnika played hero in this one with a huge overtime goal. It was a breakaway goal. He went down the ice and scored a beauty. But just earlier before that, he had another breakaway. Fortunately, got tripped. No call on the play, but he was able to follow that up. And I know I was up in the broadcasting booth at this point, and I mean, when that happened, ran down the stairs, joined the boys on the wall. Wish I could have been on the ice, but I mean, away she goes.
Yeah, an awesome picture for sure. An awesome moment. Fantastic game. D'Arcy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, no problem. It was awesome. Thank you.
That was D'Arcy Panziera, a former Kings forward and defenseman, mainly defenseman though in his stay in Komoka, and a very strong one at that. Roop Chanderdat said in his quote there that he thinks D'Arcy was one of the top defensemen in the league by the end of his tenure in Junior B, and we would certainly agree with that statement. D'Arcy talked about how tough that transition was in the beginning, but how much his coaches helped facilitate that, and how much he was able to learn in Komoka under the different coaching staffs that he worked under in his 3 seasons with the Kings. Ron Horvat, Colin Martin, Mike Riatti, of course, in his back 2 years, and D'Arcy was talking about how he could play with that confidence in the latter parts of the second season and in his final year, because he knew he's a fixture on that back end. Him and Dawson Zhang were the best, or the top pairing for the Kings last year. So we thank D'Arcy once again for joining the show today. We thank you for tuning in. This has been episode 18 of Kings Connected. We'll be back next Tuesday with another great episode.